Welcome to this chilling account of a supernatural experience encountered by a solitary trucker on a deserted road in Africa. On what seemed like an ordinary night at 3 a.m., he came across a mysterious figure that challenged his understanding of reality. This story, divided into 10 chapters, delves into the details of a journey that turned into a nightmare, where the ordinary and the inexplicable met. Get ready for a journey of suspense and mystery, where the unknown lurks in the darkness of the road. Chapter 1. The beginning of the journey. I have been a truck driver for years and have traveled many roads, but nothing prepared me for what happened that night. It was a hot night, typical of the African savanna, and I was driving down a long, deserted road, with only the radio for company, which was just picking up static. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, the hour when the mind starts playing tricks. The fatigue was getting to me, but the delivery deadline prevented me from stopping. I had to keep going, even with that strange feeling that something was not right. Chapter 2. The Lonely Road. The road seemed endless, a river of asphalt that disappeared into the darkness. There were no streetlights, only the headlights cutting through the night. Suddenly, I saw something on the horizon. A figure, motionless, in the middle of the road. My heart raced. The first reaction was to think it was an animal, but as I got closer, I realized it had a human shape. I stopped the truck a few meters away and flashed the headlights. The figure didn't move. That stillness made me uneasy. Chapter 3. The First Sighting. The figure stood in the middle of the road, shrouded in a mist that didn't make sense in the dry climate. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I moved the truck a bit closer, trying to see better. It seemed to be a person, but I couldn't distinguish details, as if they were cloaked in shadows. My instinct told me to leave, but curiosity and concern for what might be happening kept me in place. I shouted to see if the person needed help, but received no response. When I looked again, the figure had disappeared. Chapter 4. The Passage. I decided to continue the journey, my heart still pounding. I passed the spot where the figure had been and felt an intense cold, so strong it seemed to cut through my skin. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw nothing again. The feeling that something was wrong didn't leave me. I felt as if I was being watched, but there was no one around. The radio started working again, but the static was almost deafening. I turned it off and continued driving in silence, trying to calm my nerves. Chapter 5. The Gas Station Stop. A few kilometers later, I spotted a gas station. It was a relief to see some sign of civilization. The place was deserted, except for an attendant sleeping in a chair near the pumps. I woke the man, who seemed surprised to see me. I filled up the truck, and while doing so, asked if he had seen anyone or anything strange on the road. The attendant, still groggy with sleep, said no, that the road was known for being quiet, almost always empty at night. Chapter 6. The Attendant's Story. While I paid for the fuel, the attendant, a middle-aged man with a tired look, told me a story that left me intrigued. He said some drivers spoke of apparitions on the road, figures that appeared out of nowhere and disappeared as quickly as they came. They say they're the spirits of people who died in accidents around here, he remarked, as if it were a common conversation. But I've never seen anything with my own eyes. I left the station with my head full of thoughts and a sense of unease. Chapter 7. The Return to the Road. I returned to the road with a strange feeling that something was about to happen. The idea that it could be a spirit left me uneasy, but I tried to convince myself it was just fatigue playing tricks on me. The stretch of road where I had seen the figure was approaching again, and I couldn't avoid the nervousness. I was alert for any movement or shadow that might appear. The silence inside the truck's cabin was almost deafening. Chapter 8. The Final Encounter. And then, there it was again. The figure, standing in the road, closer to the truck this time. The same mist, the same cold. The radio began to hiss, and a sense of dread washed over me. It was as if the temperature had dropped several degrees in seconds. I felt a presence, as if someone were sitting next to me. I looked at the passenger seat, but there was nothing. The figure remained motionless, and the cold intensified. Chapter 9. The Revelation. Suddenly, the figure began to dissipate, as if it were dissolving into the air. The cold disappeared as quickly as it had come, and the radio returned to normal. I sat there, paralyzed, trying to comprehend what had just happened. It was as if time had stopped for a moment, and then, everything returned to normal. I got out of the truck to look around, but there was nothing but the empty road and the silence of the night. It felt like a dream, but I knew it was real. Chapter 10. The Account. To this day, I don't know what I saw on that road. Some say they're spirits, others speak of hallucinations caused by fatigue. All I know is that the figure, whatever it was real to me. I can't forget the cold I felt or the sensation of being watched. After that night, I'm always on alert when driving through desolate places in the early hours. The road can be a lonely place, but sometimes, it feels like there's more than just darkness around us.